Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. On this channel we post writing tips, unboxings, book hauls, book reviews and the occasional vlog. And today I got a bit weird. The other month I may have gone a little bit cat crazy. I read 3 books about cats. Yeah. I like animals. I don't apologize for this. So today I thought it would be fun because there are 3 very short books. Instead of reviewing every single cat book as a separate thing for you guys, why don't I just do a cat special and we'll review all 3 of the cat books I binged on together. So that's what we're doing today. And the 3 books that I read were The Unadulterated Cat by Practhett, The Cat Who Saved Books by Sosuke Natsukawa, and The Guest Cat by Takashi Hiraide. This one is actually my second time reading this book, and I'll explain why when we get to it. All of these books I adored for various different reasons, so which one do we talk about first? I'm going to start with this one, The Cat Who Saved Books by Sosuke Natsukawa. This was a Christmas present for me from Matt. I believe I unboxed this in my last book haul, so if you do want to see that, the link is above me now. But this is a really sweet, easy to read, short book, and I'll read you guys the blurb now. Natsuki Books was a tiny secondhand bookshop on the edge of town. Inside, towering shelves reached the ceiling, every one crammed full of wonderful books. Rintaro Natsuki loved this space that his grandfather had created. He spent many happy hours there reading whatever he liked. It was the perfect refuge for a boy who tended to be something of a recluse. After the death of his grandfather, Rintaro is devastated and alone. It seems he will have to close the shop. Then a talking tabby cat called Tiger appears and asks Rintaro for help. The cat needs a book lover to join him on a mission. This odd couple will go on 3 magical adventures to save books from people who have imprisoned, mistreated and betrayed them. Finally, there is one last rescue that Rintaro must attempt alone. And then at the bottom it says, The Cat Who Saved Books is a heartwarming story about finding courage, caring for others, and the tremendous power of books. How could we not love this book? Look at that cover. It is so cute and it's such a good read. Now, it is translated and I could kind of tell, but it made more sense to me how the translator had done it when I read the translator's notes at the back. So if you do read this book, I really recommend reading the translator's notes afterwards or even before. It does make a difference to your overall view of the book. First of all with this one, prologue. The prologue feels like it could be chapter 1. As you know, if you've seen my channel before and watched my video on prologues, I don't like them. It does one, we'll ignore that point. Another interesting thing is the grandfather's coffin is white. Now this book is also white. So I kind of just had a question of, is that linked? Because it could be, but I don't know. You will find quite a few Japanese terms in this book, as I say, it is translated. And one that is really interesting is a hikikomari, which is literally translated as the abnormal avoidance of social contact, typically by adolescent men. In some cases, it just means an introvert in English. However, it's specifically adolescent men that this term refers to, which is our main character. The book is split into 4 labyrinths, and each labyrinth tackles a separate moral problem and tries to teach it to the reader and also to the character in this book. Another thing to bear in mind is the cat. This book is very predominantly male. I felt it. It's something I quite often expect with Japanese books, especially if it's a male author. However, if you read the translator's notes, the cat does not have a gender, which I didn't even realize until I read that. I was like, oh yeah, she never uses he or she on the cat, simply the cat or tiger. So it's totally up to your mind to decide what gender this cat is, which is really nice considering it has so many men in already. Going back to the labyrinths now, Labyrinth 1, the imprisoner of books. So in this one, they basically need to rescue books that aren't being read, that are kept behind bars, aren't shared, and are just hoarded. So it's a lesson on imprisonment and how you shouldn't imprison something that other people could use, And also, in my opinion, about gratitude and about getting enjoyment out of the things you have and not just hoarding items. Life isn't about belongings, it's about what you do with it. The second labyrinth is then about a researcher who is cutting up books to make little snippets so that more people can technically read the books, but they don't get to read all of it. So this is things like English GCSE or English A-level. There were some people who would have those books that summarize the book that you're supposed to be reading, and it summarizes parts of it so that you can possibly get away with not reading it. Obviously I didn't do that. I read all the books, but it's sort of an idea of that. So it's taking a story and just taking out what's needed and that's it. So for example, say, right, I'm gonna say huge spoiler alert. Spoiler alert, skip to this time, spoiler. For example, with this book, if you wanted to summarize this book, you could say, Granddad dies, boy keeps bookshop. That's kind of all you need, isn't it? That's literally the start, the end, done. You don't learn any of the morals if you do that. So it teaches you about enjoying the journey and not just the destination. At least that's what I got from it. It's also about mistreatment and about not appreciating and mistreating your belongings. Labyrinth number 3 is the seller of books. I do have a quote from this one because I just adored this quote. It is on page 115. That's out of my paws. Cats are by nature creatures of will. They didn't come and go at the convenience of human beings, which is perfection. Another quote I have here is page 140 to 141. For those readers who desire a bit of stimulation, the best way to do it is with pornographic passages or gratuitous violence. And for those who lack imagination, adding a simple "this really happened" does the trick. I can't help it. I found that so funny. So the third labyrinth is a publisher, but they're just throwing books out the window. They're just publishing and publishing and publishing, and they're throwing all the old ones out that don't make money. So things like Shakespeare. People have read it, we don't need to reprint it. It doesn't sell enough. They just want a snappy, snappy sale. And it's sort of, in my opinion, a metaphor for modern day life. Everything's now. Everything has to happen right now. You don't wait for the post anymore. You don't wait for anything. And it's also everything being about money. Everything has to be profit. Everything has to always be building. And obviously this is not sustainable. At some point, everything will and is going to collapse. If people don't realize that you don't always have to be going up. If you can pay everyone, if you can keep a company running and give people jobs, why does it need to get any bigger? You're getting a wage, they're getting a wage, people are getting a product, you're done. But that's not apparently how the modern world works. And that's what this chapter taught me about, or what I took from it personally. It's also about being betrayed. So the publisher is a book lover. So in some respects, he's betraying books by just abandoning them and throwing them out like this, instead of allowing those words to be read. And then the fourth labyrinth, which is the final labyrinth. In this one, Natsuki is told Sayo is being kidnapped, and so he has to go to save her. And he has to defeat the soul of a book. And for me, the valuable lessons that Natsuki learns is empathy, cause and effect, and to be counted. And it's a very brutal way to show it, but it shows it. Now, I didn't like that the boy has to go and save the girl. Very much over this. But it served its purpose. He learned the things. And at least the soul of the book is female, for once. And the book, of course, ends as you'd expect it. I'm not going to tell you the end. It is a kind of fairy tale-y, light read. It's to teach you different morals. It's going to end how you think it's going to end. And I wasn't upset by that. Overall, it is not the best translated book I have read. It is very good, and I would recommend reading it. If you're looking for something really light, easy, really short read about a cute-ass cat, definitely read it. And I mean, it's gorgeous. But it is a lot of telling. It doesn't drag you in as much as other books. I was mainly addicted because the cat, and it's just basically 4 short stories and then the intro and the end. Ultimately, I would give this book an 8 out of 10. Read the translator's notes at the end. If you do read this book, it does make it better once you've read that. But I do like it, and I probably would read it again because, as I say, it just teaches moral lessons, but in a really nice way and involving books. And as a book lover, how else would I like to learn it? Alright, we're now going to review The Unadulterated Cat by Terry Pratchett. So I'll read you guys the blurb for this one. The real unadulterated cat is under threat of extinction as more and more of us settle for the boring, mass-produced, perfect pussycats that appear in adverts. The fluffy cats that wear bows and eat from gold-plated bowls marked kitty. All is not lost, however. The campaign for real cats sets out to change all that by helping us to recognise an authentic, unadulterated cat when we see one. Again, this is another book that I got during the winter. I got it from Barter Books, which is an amazing secondhand bookshop up in Alnwick in England. If you'd like to see a little tour of that place, let me know and I will do a little vlog of it. But secondhand bookshop, amazing. It's Terry Pratchett. We were going to pick it up. Now, I started to review this one for you guys. And then I realised I was basically writing a quote per page, which ultimately means I may as well just tell you the story. So instead of doing that, I'm just going to tell you, if you are a Terry Pratchett fan and you want to read a book which is basically a how-to guide on funny cats and funny cat situations that anyone who has owned a cat or lived with cats or near cats for a while will understand, then read this book. It's just funny. It's a light-hearted stocking filler sort of book. And I would give it a 10 out of 10. I know it's the shortest review you will ever see, but honestly, I cannot tell you anything because it's all too funny. And finally, we will review The Guest Cat by Takashi Hiraide. And again, how can you not want this book? It's so beautiful. Takashi Hiraide is a famous Japanese poet. So this book reads very fluently. It is gorgeous writing. Even as a translated book, it is done very, very well and to a high standard. It is exceptionally short, but it is just so cute. It is all about a cat called Chibi and basically the author and his wife and their life in Japan. And just for a few years, they lived in an old style Japanese home, met a cat called Chibi, and it is how that happened and just their normal life in such a beautiful way. It's just like, it's almost like just looking through a poet's eyes at life. And it's gorgeous. On page 8, I have a quote which I just found really funny, which is, "There are a few cat lovers among my close friends, and I have to admit that there have been moments when that look of excessive sweet affection oozing from around their eyes has left me feeling absolutely disgusted. They seemed at times utterly indifferent to shame." That's me. That is beyond a doubt me. I have no shame. If an animal walks in this room, I'm cuddling it, and I am not ashamed of that. There are a lot of different and interesting ways of the writing. So for example, on page 21, the way Hiraide shows you and tells the reader how big a room is by the amount of tatami mats in that room. Tatami mats are Japanese mats like the grass mats, which are traditionally in the older houses and in tea rooms, and they basically come in a set size. So you can measure a room in the squares of tatami mats, which is what he does. Now, if you are like me, so I am 30, and chapter 6 is basically a kick in the face to anyone in their 30s, because it's basically saying that it's when you have your early midlife crisis. I can see that. I can definitely see that. Now, although this book is about a cat, Chibi isn't in it for the longest amount of time, because ultimately this book teaches you, again, about morals, and one of the things it teaches you a lot about is grief and all the various stages you go through with that, which horribly involves Chibi. So a little bit like the other Japanese cat book, every single chapter has a moral and something to teach you. There's a lot more morals in this one because this book has 29 chapters, so instead of just the 4 morals, or maybe 6 morals of the last one, this one has like around 29 interesting things, and each chapter is very, very short. So for example, chapter 1 is 6 pages long, and that is sort of the average throughout this book. And each one is like a small mini story which teaches you something new, and it's just written superbly. On the back, it has so many good reviews. The Guardians say gentle, thoughtful, and subtly profound. It's the kind of work that makes you ask of its author, how on earth did he do that? As you find yourself dabbing your eyes and pausing to look wistfully into the distance, you'll want to read The Guest Cat more than once, which I already have. I've now read it twice and I will read this book again. New York Times says careful, elegant and lovely, unusually intimate, detailed and vivid. Huffington Post says lyrical and captivating. I will revisit The Guest Cat with pleasure, much as I return to favourite poems and paintings and memories. Then NPR says Takashi Hiraide, the Japanese poet and novelist, blindsided me. His prose, so illuminating and achingly poetic, made me care. Damn it, it made me care a lot. It is such a beautiful book, and again, like The Unadulterated Cat, I don't have much to tell you because it sucks you in. I started to forget to write things down because the chapters are so short. I didn't want to stop each chapter to write down what it was about. So 10 out of 10. Read it. And that's it for my Cat Month book review. So I read The Unadulterated Cat by Practhett, The Cat Who Saved Books by Sosuke Natsukawa, and The Guest Cat by Takashi Hiraide. And I would recommend all three. This one for a funny light read, just read it, seriously, it's so poetic and beautiful. And this one again, if you just want something light and really, really easy, I would say 8 stars, 10 stars, 10 stars. And that's it for you today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for joining me on my slightly cat crazy month. I wanted cats. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. If you'd like to see as soon as I upload, click that little bell down below. And you can also follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or Tumblr. I post general bookish pictures as well as my writing tips and unboxings on there. And thanks for watching, guys. Bye.